So, hi Eric.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Yeah, for you it's morning. For me it's afternoon already. I already have the pulled pork being almost ready in my barbecue downstairs. So I put it in this morning, and it's almost completely done.
Is that your Sunday ritual barbecue?
Kind of, but yeah, it's mostly because we celebrate right now. Like yesterday, we had guests, and all the pulled pork that I prepared on Friday is already gone because of guests. And today we also have later in the evening we have some guests, and this time I prepare pulled pork from Spanish Iberico pork.
What? I don't know what that is. Spanish.
Have you ever tried jamon?
No, I don't know what that is either.
Yeah, it's kind of dry aged Spanish pork leg. So they really dry age it for a very long time, and this is kind of Spanish delicacy.
Dry aged pork. Sounds good.
Yeah, and they like feed this pork special diet. So the pigs eat only acorns, and they have this black. They have black. I don't know how to call it in English. On the end of the leg, you have a feet for the pig. I don't know how to call it in English.
Like a hoof.
But something like the pig steps on the ground with.
Yeah, hoof.
So you have this one as it is completely black, and it's a special breed of pig, and it's very famous in Spain. They made a lot of things from that pig, and it has very special taste. And I found just a couple of kilos of this pork meat in one of the Dutch horeca shops.
Nice.
So I bought it. Yesterday I was preparing some Dutch pork, and today I'm preparing some Spanish pork. So
apologies to our vegan viewers.
Yeah, sorry. And that's what I already did. Also, you know what? You need to send me some Magento t-shirt.
Oh yeah, man! I hope you wear mediums, because I've got like boxes and boxes of mediums.
You see which t-shirt I'm wearing?
No, I can't see. It's kind of behind the microphone there.
Oh yeah, just a moment. Here, take a look.
I still can't see it.
Do you see it now?
Oh no! Hey, I will say Nexus has some really nice swag. I own a Nexus hat, and I do wear it like a lot, but don't tell anybody. And anybody who's watching this, don't tell anybody.
Yeah, definitely. So no one watching from Nexus should tell to anybody else, right? I think they will just clip it, like they clip it and put it in.
Jordan, edit that out. Jordan, edit.
Jordan, don't forget to put big Nexus logo behind Eric. That's gonna be amazing. Yeah. I already see how great this is actually gonna be. That's crazy. Okay, so
intro. Let's do the intro. All right. Load and Loop is sponsored by Blackfire.io. I'm Eric Hileman, CEO and co-founder of Mojo Magento Hosting out of New York City. The purpose of this program is to take some of what we've learned over the last 10 years of Magento-specific hosting and evaluate one of our customers' store. We'll share with you what we find in the hopes that it may improve your Magento skills and the performance of your own Magento stores. And along with on this magical trip is my co-host, Ivan.
Hey, Eric. Hi there. So I'm Ivan. I'm based in the Netherlands. I'm doing a lot of performance consultancy and doing a lot of high-loaded projects, as well as small merchants who struggle with high hosting costs. And today we're going to take a look at some of the customers at Mojo who are struggling with the performance. They wanted to be on the show for a long time, right, Eric?
Yeah, this one's been having some issues for a while. Typical issues: homepage, catalog page, search. I think we're going to find a lot.
Yeah, we're going to check what's going on over there. So, Eric, tell us a little bit about the customer.
Yeah, so Moda, themoda.co.in, and it looks like they do a lot of apparel. A lot of apparel. I guess Indian specific apparel. So
this is a merchant from India, right? So they mostly sell on Indian market, and they sell in Indian rupees. They don't have probably multi-store. And you say that they have some issues with performance, right?
Yeah, slow complaints on the home page, category pages, and search. No mention of product pages, though.
Oh, we will check all of them, so we'll see how it goes. So let's start with, first of all, profiling the homepage. I'm going to disable aggregation right away. And let's see what's going to be as a result. So let's name it right away. Homepage. Oh, no. It's almost did it in a Dutch style. Dutch like to put two vowels in words in order to make them sound long. Like they put A and it indicates a very long sound like. Then hug and so on. And sometimes I just type too much vowels because of that. Because I'm getting used to the Dutch language.
How long have you been there?
Oh, it's already for long. Like I already live in the Netherlands since 2013, and I've been traveling to the Netherlands all the way back from 2010. So as soon as I started my own company, like I had a team of developers in Ukraine at some point in time, but as soon as I moved to the Netherlands, it didn't work out well. So the business partner in Ukraine decided to go with team in one direction, and I decided to go in another direction because it's hard to maintain the same level of expectation for the merchants when you are far away from a team. So this is kind of an interesting profile. All right, so you see here we have 18 seconds of the render time of the homepage. I think this is kind of a new record holder on our show because they have 3,500 database queries on a homepage.
Perfectly even 3,500. What are the chances?
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. Yeah, so let's see a timeline. Oh, I think they just rounded up when they show it on the page. So it's not 3,500. Like Blackfire decided to make it off by 2. Yeah. Magento usually have off by 1 errors, usually by 1 cent, and Blackfire decided, we're gonna be different. We will do it by 2. So here we are. And they definitely have a bunch of loading loops. So we can see that here on homepage, like they have a product grid. And there's a bunch of the products being probably rendered one by one. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see at this one. And this name already gives me some chills down my spine because I remember the times when I was a very young PHP developer and there was a bunch of websites on PHP Nuke I was working on. And there was this famous company called Templatemonster where you could buy some cheap templates for your PHP Nuke websites. And they were actually selling templates for a bunch of platforms, I think.
Yeah.
So this is this seems like one of their system. Like nothing bad about Templatemonster. Like, they provide a good value for the amount of money you pay for it. The only problem is that they don't have expertise in the platform itself for which they develop. They are focused on so many different platforms for which they develop templates that they don't need to invest time in specific platform specialization. So I can expect, so that because of that, we have this kind of a problem here. So if we zoom in here, will it do it? Yeah. If we zoom in here, we see that, it's a featured product, and there is some rendering happening here, like get product price HTML, and this get product price HTML does some stuff here. Let's see what it does. So it tries to grab a final price. So this is a configurable product price resolver. So this is actually a Magento problem in this case, at least with product price itself. However, number of queries even for a configurable product is too large. So basically the problem here is that the price is taken from simple products at the runtime instead of being taken from the price index, because in price index you already have the minimum price of a configurable product. Like, you don't need to walk through all the simple products in order to find what is the minimal price right now. And here, what we see right now in this template, that for every single configurable product, there is a load operation happening in order to retrieve a simple product price, a minimum price for a configurable. So this is definitely needs to be fixed, and usually you can just, instead of using the standard rendering of the price, you can just take the data right away from the product that is available from the index and use it instead of using the standard renderer of Magento over here. However, here, for instance, I think that another one has other issues as well. And here we are, So here we have the other thing called get image. So for instance, here for get image, I see there is already a call to loading of the product in a loop. So you see here in this template, interceptor get image, and it loads every single product separately, like through the separate database query, in order just to access a single image. That shouldn't be the case, because a single image is already available in a collection. So as soon as you have a collection of products, you just can specify that, hey, I want to have, let's say, the main image of a product being available as an attribute. And here, instead of adding this attribute to the collection, select Templatemonster just decides, hey, we're just gonna load this we're just gonna load this product itself, because we don't know how to retrieve this data through the regular means. And this is basically why they have this amount of queries. So, like, there is two problems. There is issue with the price retrieval, and there is an issue with load of the product in a loop. And if we take a look into the query list, we can see, that most of the queries are related to loading products separately. Like, there is a bunch of them. And
that's for the price, and then the other problem is for the image?
So the price probably contributes around 400 database queries, but the rest of them are related to the product repositories usage, because every single configurable product gets loaded through a repository, and then it loads a bunch of other data that you even don't need on a product listing. Because of all the data loaded, you have a lot of database operations, and this is basically why they have 20 seconds of render time. So as a top priority, what they need to do, they need just to eliminate this load in a loop of the get image method. And then they probably will have already dropped like to 5 seconds or something like that. And after that, they can work on price issue as well. So it will drop it below 1 second. So yeah, like 18 times, they can achieve 18 times faster page loading time, and it probably won't frustrate visitors who hit uncached page. And basically, this widget product grid is just used everywhere on homepage because they have a bunch of blocks, right, where they show various products. And here we have, again, oh yeah, this is bad. This is just too bad. If you take a look at this one actually produces a lot of I/O as well. If you take a look here, they use this function called image PNG. Not only PNG is a bad format to serve to your end customers because PNG is not compressed, right? It's just raw image data that is very expensive for mobile phone bandwidth. Moreover, they are doing it on a page rendering. So it means like every time you hit on cached page, you have at least like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, bunch of brands being brand images. Let's see what kind of brand images that they might have here. Probably this is shop by brands, you see? So those images, those are PNGs. So let's inspect an element and let's see how big in bandwidth this image is, because PNG is even not compressed by Broadly or any other compression algorithms because it's binary data. So can I open it? Okay, let's go to the network tab and let's just refresh a page and let's switch to the images. And let's go to PNG. So here is probably our brand images, right? Yeah, logo resized. What is the size of the image itself? Like 100 kilobytes. So this is a lot. This is probably the smallest one because we see here 150, 200. This is too much for this size of the picture. So you see like the size of the picture is only 200 by 300 or something like that. Yeah. And this one introduces a lot of issues. Like I see probably why Templatemonster did it, because you see the image itself. I don't know if our viewers see. Let me check in this one. Does it show overlay on the screen? Let me just open up my OBS and let's just make it always on top. Let me see. Oh yeah, so viewers also see it. So the biggest problem here is that, yeah, I understand what they're trying to do. They try to create this alpha channel view of the image, but they can do the same thing with CSS. They don't need to do it by creating a PNG image. They just can create a mask in CSS in order to remove...
and they do that like, on the fly every page load?
Yeah, like they're doing it as soon as you have an image here, like this circle. Like they take the source image and they create this circled image with an alpha transparent layer around it. But what you can do, you can just serve the original image and just apply some CSS tricks in order to render it. Like all the browsers support this CSS features. You don't need to modify the original image in order to serve it. And then you can use actually gpack images instead of using PNGs, because gpack will probably, of this size, probably will take like 3 kilobytes. This is like 100 times lower than what they are serving right now. So this is not only bad from perspective of the backend because you are resizing images on the fly, but also the image itself is very large. So if someone is on a mobile bandwidth, and I expect in India probably
the score is probably terrible on mobile.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, the bandwidth is probably expensive. Like if you want to sell in country where the bandwidth is expensive, then it's a problem because probably also devices are not the most capable to process everything. Like average consumer in India doesn't have top of the line smartphone in order to be able to render all the data that is sent by this web page. So there is definitely like things that they need to change. They need to change these ones to JPEG images, and they need to make sure that they don't resize those images on the fly. If they want to get them resized, they just need to use a standard technology in Magento where you can resize them by URL or something like that.
Speaking of resizing, what is everybody using? Magepack or?
Yeah, so if we talk about image resizes, for images, people use a lot Fastly, right? So
I work a lot Fastly do the images.
Yeah, like it's quite good because you can build a URL and you can say, hey, automatically serve Webp images instead of serving JPEG. And
what's the difference between JPEG and Webp?
Webp gives additional kilobytes saving. So if browser sends an HTTP request and tells, hey, I support viewing Webp images. And then Fastly tells to this browser, okay, I will give you a Webp image because it's going to be much more better from bandwidth. Like, I think it's around 20, from 15 till 30% savings, depending on the image. And this is quite a lot, like if you consider the front-end performance, Webp is much more better for performance of your store because the images are loaded faster, they're smaller.
What about compatibility?
Yeah, so the biggest problem is compatibility because not all browsers support Webp. However, let's say Firefox, Google Chrome, they support Webp. I think Safari is now also supporting Webp. But, some other browsers might not, like maybe old Internet Explorer users are not able to use Webp. I think Edge is already supporting Webp because it's now based on Chromium, right?
The new Edge is Chromium.
Yeah, like Webp is not that widespread, but you can create rules in your backend, and instead of JPEG image, you can serve a Webp image. So
and you can just create. That's the kind of thing Fastly will do on the fly.
Yeah, so that's what Fastly does on the fly, and that's actually something that I planned also to do with this image resizer in Rust.
Yeah, you talked to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's just going to be an Nginx rule where you can just say, hey, if you have an input header from a browser, like it notifies you, like, I accept this content types, right? And then when it notifies an accept header that it accepts Webp, you can just create a rewrite rule to change gpack into Webp if that file exists. Like you can create try files in Nginx, and if that file exists, you just serve that file instead of JPEG.
And speaking of like compression and combining and just optimizations in general, are people moving away from baler to magepack?
Oh, it's an interesting question because, like, baler is still, I think, mentioned in official repositories that it's an alpha software, so people just don't adopt it very well. Because, like...
I've heard magepack's easier to use than baler.
Yeah, and magepack is much more easier to use. Like, you don't need to install a lot of things, like it just uses a Phantom.js browser or something like that. I don't remember exactly. Or it even just uses Chrome. It just uses
Chrome. It's not
Chrome.
Phantom, though. It's...
Yeah, I think it's headless Chrome or something like that. So you install headless Chrome, and then it does a request to the pages you specify on your local environment. And based on those requests to the pages, it automatically knows which resources to pack. And then it just creates a package per page type. So I think you can specify home page, you can specify category page, and you can specify product page. And for those 3 pages, it will create a separate bundle for each of the types. And probably the general one that is common between all of those 3 pages. And I think you can easily also, create customizations to magepack because the code is open. It's JavaScript itself, so you can probably add more page types yourself if you want to have more granular bundles.
So how are people, if you don't have Fastly, how are people optimizing images for gpack or serving alternate WebP?
Yeah, so I think there is Gisa Reistma from the Netherlands. He also wrote a Webp image resizer. However, all those solutions that are through a Magento extension, that resides on Magento side, it takes a lot of CPU time in order to resize images. So this is the biggest problem of PHP, is that resizing images in PHP, first of all, the quality of resize operation is not as good as, for instance, doing it in some low-level language where you have access, let's say, to Mozilla's gpack compression, or you have an access to Webp better compression algorithms. So, yeah, PHP kind of bad at resizing images.
And we saw the I/O happening here, so that's actually happening on every page load. It's redoing those instead of just doing them once and saving them.
Yeah, so it doesn't do it once; it does it every single time. So
every single page load,
every single uncached load. So let's say if the homepage is not cached by Varnish, let's say if they accidentally turn FPC off, their
or someone places an order, we see so many interactions, our operations where cache just gets cleared. We're always working through that with customers. Why isn't my cache staying hot? And we go in and we find this operation or that operation cleared it.
Yeah, it's actually just I was doing a tweet last Friday about the issue with number of HTTP calls from the browser, and also there was a discussion about the caching. So I was giving so many times an opinion that you shouldn't rely on a cache as a way to optimize your performance. Cache should be a good saver for you if you want to scale. So let's say if you have thousands of concurrent visitors, you don't have to hit the backend as often. However, your backend should answer fast enough in order to not frustrate the customers that hit uncached page. If you have cache volatility very high, and for most merchants, unfortunately, that's true because a lot of merchants have some kind of ERP integration that sends stock updates or price updates quite often. Mm-hmm. And majority of the catalog, 70% of the catalog usually for those merchants gets invalidated almost every half an hour. And then you just run mostly uncached version of the website. And of course, your visitors will be frustrated because they will hit uncached pages more often. When you are as a merchant, you are just browsing your website and you're browsing the common pages you visit, you never hit the same pages as your visitors do because your website gets indexed by Google. And when someone searches for some product, they actually navigate to the final page, let's say, where this product is available. And the chances that this page will be in cache are very low. Because usually, the visitors that just browse the website, the common places they do in categories, those pages can be in cache, but most of the people who are visiting your website, they will go directly into the product page. And those product page visitors, they will be frustrated if your product page takes a long time to render. Or for instance, category page as well, if they hit a category page and it's slow to load, yeah. people will just close the browser even without waiting for your page to show up. So you should make sure that you use cache not as a way to improve your page performance, but as a way to accept more concurrent visitors. Like, you shouldn't rely on it as a way to make sure, hey, my website is fast. Like, you cannot improve time to first byte with caching, because caching is unreliable. So, yeah. Let's now profile a page. Actually, I wanted to do something different this time. So today, what we're gonna do, we're actually gonna click on profile all requests in Blackfire. So we're gonna profile all the clicks we are doing. So I just want to make sure, like, if there is some HTTP call happening on a page while we are viewing it, we're gonna see it in here in report. So let's go to woman. Which one you'd like to visit?
Oh,
I think they were sending some URL they wanted us to check. Okay, it was woman. Yeah, it was general woman category. So I just can click here on top, and I probably will go there. Okay, great. So it takes some time. I'm gonna have some coffee in the meanwhile. So this is worrying. You see, like, there's, instead of there is a woman category being loaded, but there is also at least 2 other requests are happening. So let's right away just go to some product page. Just the first product we hit here. And here's a bunch of more HTTP requests happening, right? And more of them are coming in. Okay. And if we go back, and let's say I also want to select a filter, because they have a lot of flared navigation filters. And then I'm also gonna select a color. Okay, so I think that's enough data to process, right? So let's stop processing, and let's take a look at all the calls that are happening there. So let's see, the Moda co in. This is the homepage we reviewed, and then we see a lot of stuff here. Okay, this is quite bad. You see here they have the Zim option CSS index. So it looks like they have a controller that takes some CSS data from a file system and shows it as a controller. And it also puts some load on the database, but mostly they are doing something here. You see file get CSV. And this is kind of huge. Like 10,000 calls to it. This is a lot. So it's kind of big CSV file. Let's see where it gets called. Oh, it's translations. So the translations are getting loaded from a CSV file. So they probably don't have translation cache being enabled. They need to work with it. Also, Composer is not optimized as well.
How do you even turn off translation cache individually? Is that an individual cache?
I think it's just cache itself. Like, there is translation cache available in Magento. And here, load module translation. So you see design load, and then a bunch of stuff. And then they have dynamic styles. So first of all, this code should not exist in the first place. Because if you want to create some kind of style editor in the backend, you should store these style edits as a file in a file system and add it into your deployment procedure. You shouldn't allow, to dynamically load those styles through a controller, because you are hitting Magento on every single call to to the CSS, you know.
What is okay? So wait, no, that doesn't even make. Why would you be
here?
So they have an editor in the back. You modify settings and it stores them in the database for the style, and then it compiles those styles from the database on every page load instead of just creating like a CSS file that it loads.
Yes.
Is that okay?
And here it is, like this file. So this is actually very bad for front-end performance because, yeah, this file is going to be loaded, you know. It's not going to be fast on load operation, you know. This is just bad, and also it's served with cookies and other stuff, so it's even not cached by Varnish as well. Like, it's just directly served by Magento. It doesn't make sense. Like, this is not the thing you would do. Like, it's not a SaaS platform. Like, I could understand if you would have multi-tenant system where you have different URLs serving different users. So you want to have a separate styles for different merchants, right? Who are on your SaaS platform. So you're allowed to edit the styles in admin panel and so on. However, for Magento, like, you are the owner of the platform. You are the merchant. You are the single installment. You have complete access to your file system. Doing this kind of dynamic operations doesn't make sense because it's inefficient from point of view of performance, as well. It's bad for front-end performance as well. Like, it's not only bad for server resources, so this is very bad for your performance and for your servers, definitely. Also, the same thing with newsletter pop-up, like they have also separate HTTP calls there. Then we have again them options, newsletter pop-up. We have standard Magento issues with customer section load. There's pop-ups all the time. Let's refresh a page. Okay, so here we see some improvements, right? So let's start with the woman category itself. Let's go into this profile. So the category page actually has much more less database queries than a home page. So the home page is really terrible in performance. Usually, like, category page is the worst in majority of projects we review, right? However, in this case, category page does much better than home page. And let's see what is the timeline view here. So again, they have some kind of custom product template here, list layout 1. So here is happening the loading of the products, and then here they iterate through products, and they probably again doing some get product details. Okay. And here is some kind of countdown timer, you see? This is bad. So here is some load in a loop, like they iterate through every single simple product of a configurable product. And they have some kind of countdown timers that, I don't know, maybe they have some kind of emulation of the enterprise functionality of catalog events where you can give a limited offer for a price. Or maybe they are using standard Magento functionality of special prices. It's kind of interesting, like the countdown timer, but this is completely wrong way to do it. Like, they're doing a database operation on every single product. They should probably add an observer for after collection load, and based on that, load information about the product special prices, what is the earliest date when special offer ends by product ID, and just provide this data for this countdown timer. You know, like, this one actually is very inefficient. Also, The same pricing issue of Magento, like get product price, again, the same as we're seeing on homepage, where every single product of configurable gets iterated. Yeah, final price, and then this countdown timer. So this is basically the performance issue is mostly countdown timer and prices. So this is contributes to it all of these database queries. And this definitely can be optimized. Let's see what's going on here. In alert navigation rendering, Ajax catalogs, some kind of things happening here, kind of get swatch data.
Touches.
So let's see what's going on here. As a swatch data, CPU time is quite large. Unfortunately, I don't see the code of this method, but I think like there is some kind of inefficient PHP algorithm that, you know, like iterates within a loop, iterates the loop one more time or something like that, that takes a lot of CPU cycles. Usually, like you solve it by creating some kind of hash map when you load the data from the database, and then you just look up for a hash map that is very fast process. Like you don't have to iterate over and over the same loop all the time. Then here we have a swatch path, and here we have some kind of... Oh, so here is our view configuration being instantiated actually a couple of times. And because of that, they have multiple operations happening. So this is a standard Magento core problem, this piece of code itself, that is possible to fix by using some caching around the view config file. Magento doesn't cache view config by default. I don't know why. Then here we have price range. This is kind of looks as well bad because there's a lot of database queries. And this is not looking good because like get current price, get max price, get current price, get max price. Like this is too much of database operation just to retrieve the minimum price in a price slider and maximum price in a price slider. Like there should be maximum one database queries. This is too much queries and they're quite expensive. Like 20 milliseconds for database query just to have minimum and maximum price is too much. So seems like Templatemonster, they also tried to implement on layered navigation because as you see, like they have this price slider and most probably like they just don't optimize their code in order to create those price buckets. Because yeah, if we go here, yeah, let me clear all the currently applied filters. And here, right, on a price, like what they need to have, they need to only know what is the maximum price and what is the minimum and what is the maximum price. They don't need to know it so many times. So it's enough to have a single query for that. And here we see that, where is it? Where is the profile? I think here, yeah. And here they're doing it a lot of times. And they're doing a lot of things. And as well, sidebar as well, shop by brand. So every single category page, again, they save an image of the brand itself because they probably have brands somewhere here as those small images, you see. So again, those brand images are very ineffective from point of view of performance. Like they just take all the server resources. I don't know if this customer has a lot of concurrent visitors, but probably if they have a concurrent visitor spike, that will take them down. Because like this amount of IO operations is very bad.
Makes Stratus cry.
Yeah. Okay, and yeah, we can see, for instance, when I narrow down the results on this woman page, when I applied some filters, you see the number of queries dropped because number of products being shown got reduced to only one product, right? So number of database operations just reduced dramatically, and that's what they can expect when they actually fix the loading loops in their pages. Like the regular page would render this amount of time, and then you see that the biggest problem after that is actually resizing of the images, not rendering of the products. So
a lot of this isn't their theme, though. So how do they, like, what are the big wins for them to optimize this? Do they have to find a new theme and rebuild things? Like, is there anything they can do to...
they can fix performance issues in a theme. Like they can invest time either to rebuild everything from scratch or actually just optimize performance of the current theme.
These parts of the theme.
Yeah, like I understand, like, yeah, they bought the theme, but if their business relies on this theme, like on how it looks and so on, like they already invested some time into it, it makes sense to fix a theme. Like, and I don't see like performance issues that are impossible to fix with the theme, because just moving resizing operation out of theme doesn't sound that complex. Price fixes, those are parts of the core problems that they think can just do a couple of plugins in order to retrieve the data from price index instead of retrieving the data from the final price itself by iterating through simple products. And then also this countdown component and image URL component of the product list that can be fixed by just not loading a product in a loop. So get
their developers to go in and look at the individual parts of the theme that we talked about, so at least they know what areas to focus on in the theme to optimize.
So let's take a look at the last one. What they were checking what they were saying was a performance issue. So let me copy just the URL and let me start actually profile all requests. So Blackfire will automatically profile every single URL I visit from that one. So let's see. So this is catalog search page, and let's stop the search. And it will take some time for Blackfire to load the stuff. So you see, like on every single page, like even if it's cached by Varnish, there still will be a couple of HTTP calls to load CSS styles. So if they have a spike in visitors, they will have an issue with that because they will get FPM workers depletion. And as less FPM workers you have, the less possibilities that someone will be able to add something to the shopping cart and actually proceed with something. So basically, you can run an ad campaign, but your web shop is unable to handle it because it's busy serving CSS. Because it's busy serving CSS styles to other visitors,
Fortunately for them, they're here and we'll scale out PHP FPM, but yeah, anywhere else that'd be a problem. It is pretty inefficient for us to run the store.
Yeah, but even like for you can do it only to some extent. Like they're on starter plan, right? They won't receive,
there's no limit on PHP FPM on any of the plans. They can scale up, but the database, you'll hit the limit of what your database can do.
So they can abuse your system.
Yeah, that's what's happening. We're starting to score customers by efficiency and targeting to help them out. And the more, so this is a whole internal discussion. Like here we have this car insurance company has come out with these devices that you plug into your OBD2 port on your vehicle and you drive with it for 6 months. And if you're a safe driver, they give you a discount. So we've started scoring customers and we're looking at giving the efficient ones, the good drivers, discounts on their hosting. So, but then people like this, we have to figure out like, okay, if you're really like outside of the, semi-standard deviations from what's normal efficiency, we're going to have to address that.
Like just a general, like everything about 200 database queries is bad. So 200 database queries is kind of a cutoff point after which, like you cannot be liable for a discount, no matter what kind of a page. Like 200 queries is too much.
We're looking at sessions. So we have sessions and we have CPU time. So we actually have all the CPU seconds used from all the services by service. And we can use the CPU time that the customer's using and memory as well to say like, okay, this is your efficiency score. So people who get more sessions with less CPU are more efficient, essentially.
So you can actually have some kind of a calculation based on number of visitors correlated to the CPU time used, right? So the less CPU time you use per visitor, the more efficient you are. This is kind of very neat graph, like, and it's going to be interesting to check out because, this is great idea.
Yeah. I'm sure customers like to see how they compare to others. So we got to break it down by M1 and M2. And I'm curious to see what happens with the different versions of Magento 2 as well. Like we were testing 2.4 and that seems to be running a lot better. So we're hopeful that it has more efficiencies in it.
Yeah, I hope so as well.
You don't sound very optimistic. So let's talk about that at the end, actually, what you're doing with search and everything. But I want to talk about that at the end. Let's go get through the category page.
This is our catalog search page. And as I see, like, it's completely the same performance issues as we have on category page. So they basically have this brand sidebar that resizes images. And they have this load and loops through the same template. So it's product list layout 1. So it's the same template that was used on category page. So basically, the issues are the same in both places, like category page and the search result page. They both have the same performance bottlenecks that I already mentioned before. So let's do the last thing, something that customer didn't complain about, but we probably have to check it. We have to check adding to cart, right? So let's add to cart a product and let's see how it goes. Oh. Your tab just crashed. Okay, that's nice. This one I didn't expect.
I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, it sometimes happens, like maybe there was some kind of a loop or something like that with... Okay, so because it's configurable product, I have to choose a bunch of options, like I have to choose a price before I can add a product to the cart. So let me profile all requests now. And let me add this product to cart, this nice beige medium-sized dress. Let's see how it goes. Okay, added drawstring related dress to your shopping cart. Great. And let's right away proceed to checkout. No, I don't want to create an account. Sorry. We want profiles and checkout because, I don't want to create an account in order to do it. So let's see. We have checkout cart add. Great. And here we have not that much of performance issues, right? So we have some standard thing Magento has. I don't see, anything out of ordinary. Yet from the time, because 700 milliseconds, it's a good one. Yeah, so it's standard Magento one, like they add a product, they collect totals, like it's standard Magento profile. Yeah, maybe it's not the best performance, of adding to cart, but this is standard Magento and, like comparing to other performance issues they have, they don't have issues with add to cart. Because just rendering products takes a lot of time. Okay, so with this one, I'm happy. So, yeah. Let's then talk about the stuff about layered navigation. Yeah?
Yeah. Someone asked me about searches. MySQL search is bad. Why do you want to bring MySQL search back? I guess start there.
Oh, yeah. So basically, the biggest issue here is that, it's not that MySQL is bad at search, MySQL full text search engine is quite good in 5.7 and 5.6 MySQL versions. Like they before, like full text search of MySQL was bad because it was, first of all, was only MySum based table, and like mixing MySum and InnoDB is not good in one database. Because like you cannot use efficiently your MySQL server. However, they brought full text search into InnoDB, and now basically you can do a lot of basic search without a lot of things. And the only thing that for MySQL, in order to have your search working good, you need to properly weight your fields you're using in search, and you need to properly prepare the data. I don't know if you saw my tweet with the proof of concept of search suggestions, like where I was able to actually, just run on 1 million products. I was creating some search suggestion data, like I generated 1 million products for search suggestion, and it was something like 300,000 of suggestion strings itself. Through which MySQL was able to return me a result within 70 milliseconds of the search suggestion with after corrected query. So I used some faker data, and it was creating some
I did see
concrete Prada chicken type of products.
Prada chicken.
So it was an interesting thing, like because was building for Magento 1, I was building search solution based on Sphinx. And what I've learned from building and working with full text search engine, like there's a lot of things you have to prepare your data first before you actually have it done properly. Like search suggestion is easy to create if you know how to actually split your keywords into trigrams. So like you can have, let me actually show you maybe. So
I've
online text editor or something like that.
I've read about trigrams before, but I'm completely blanking on them. And Sunday morning.
So can I actually make it larger? Okay, great. So let's say you have a word chicken, right? And you have a word Prada, right?
Yeah.
So chicken, okay. Prada.
Prada's making chicken now. Got it.
So trigrams, it's a way to split words into three character segments. So you create like chi, you create c, ki, e, you create n, you create pr, you create pra, you create da. You usually also you create more permutations like chi, and then you can create hic. You can create let's say
okay.
Ik,
so that's
and so on. So this is called trigrams. Like you have a search keyword and you like create 3-letter words from it, and then you have the same kind of indexation happening when you create a search index. So you create a field with trigrams, and then you run a full text search. And as more trigrams matching your search result, as more relevant your search result is. So
right, that's always been the thing. It's not so much search technology; it's the data and the configuration of the search. And what you're writing does a lot of this automatically, or is there still a lot of customer?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, what I'm planning to do, first of all, it's going to be a very efficient layered navigation in MySQL. That's not the case with Magento 2, because Magento 2 creates just a bunch of temporary tables that are completely unneeded there. Like, it just kills your MySQL server. It's much more better to use common table expressions in order to, create those kind of result sets. And that's basically what that layered navigation is going to be about. Apart from that, it's going to have a bunch of other features that are not available even in standard Magento layered navigation. Like you will have possibility to choose multiple filters. like something that people use third-party extensions for is going to be just an open source extension that replaces layered navigation, replaces catalog, and you have a bunch of features over there.
Are you going to replace Smile Elastic Suite?
If you are not using Elasticsearch, you will be able to use this one. So you don't need to have another compute instance with a lot of memory in order to support memory hog called Elasticsearch, because Elasticsearch
is a memory hog.
Yeah.
Okay, so if somebody could run Elasticsearch or not, or if that's not an issue, would they be better off using what you're writing or still using Elastic Suite?
It depends, because it will be possible. Like, I build an extension that you will be able to write an integration with any kind of search engine out there. Like, it will provide, by default, it will provide MySQL-based storage, but the design is taken into account. Like, you will be able to write a fast indexer. Like, the biggest issues I have right now with Elasticsearch, like, it's good solution right now in the market, and as a quick solution, I usually point my customers to it, because like, it's already developed, it's already there, and it's minimum effort. But what I'm planning to do, I'm planning to build a solution that will be super fast to index, because I was building before a Sphinx-based alert navigation for Magento 1. And over there was numbers like you will be able to export 200,000 SKUs in 7 seconds to a search engine. So right now, if you want to do it through Elasticsearch HTTP API, it will probably take like an hour or something like that. So you cannot really run fast indexation with Elasticsearch. So it reduces your time to market when you want to run a new campaign. Let's say you decide, hey, I want to quickly give a discount on half of my catalog because, like, there is this day and I want to do it right now. You cannot do it right now with Elasticsearch without planning in advance. Like, you cannot have this quick market reaction. Mm-hmm. Or for instance, like, I've seen so many customers like changing the price, like making a typo in a price and giving a ridiculous discount on the catalog, and then it takes a lot of time actually to reindex it back to the proper price, and they actually lose money while the old data is there. And this is kind of a thing that I'm a fan of, having something fast and something easy to use. And based on this extension, I'll be able to maybe build also something proprietary for something for Manticore search or something like that with Rust and so on. But this one is the point of another discussion. But in general, like, open source project is going to be interesting, because I'm going to create a lot of stuff that I already have in Sphinx extension for Magento 1. That I was installing for merchants. I'm going to create a possibility also to have SEO-based filter URLs that are going to be fast and not duplicating millions of records in the database for URL rights, like majority of the stuff happening with shop buys and other extensions out there.
Yep.
It's going to have also virtual category data, like, I already was showing, I think, multiple times an example of this website. So this is one of my Magento 1 customers, and they have this designer category. And here, for instance, if you choose a brand Versace, you see that category data changes. Like, they have a banner for Versace, like, even if you just hit this URL, like right now it's reloaded through Ajax, but if you hit this URL directly in a browser, even title of the page gets changed to Versace outlet. So the basic idea, like, you can specify based on filter combination, like, you can have product type, gender, brand, color, whatever. You can create a customized category data because the engine will check, hey, we have these filters. Do we have some replacement category text which we can use to display instead of standard category data? And then you have unique SEO page that you can just create a promotional campaign in Google AdWords. And you can say, hey, hot summer sales, without creating a new category, just by specifying filters and creating some proper sort order over there and just shooting it into your AdWords campaign and selling products. You know, like you just save a lot of time and management of the data. So this is kind of a feature that I want to bring to community in open source version. Like I want to have, you know, some kind of an advantage for merchants to use, you know, Magento, basically. I want to have SMB being able to use Magento without, you know, paying large amount of money for their hosting. Hopefully it will pay off in, you know, in future for me by me being hired by those merchants, you know, for other stuff. But that's all other things. So that's basically what I'm busy right now. And I already had a couple of live streams where I was actually doing design with other people, with other developers, and people was giving me some good feedback. They really liked the idea of all those filters, and also an idea of actually having filters being decoupled from Magento itself. Like right now in Magento, you have filters that are completely coupled to your attributes. However, sometimes you have in a store, let's say this customer, right? So if we take a look at their category, you go to woman category and you just go into colors, right? So there's a lot of colors. And I highly doubt that it's good for an end user when you have so many choices, right? Usually you'd like to reduce number of colors, but you don't want to specify the associated color group, you know, per each product. What I was doing before, like I was able to create virtual filters. Like you could create a new filter where you have values, let's say color, let's say red color would be a group of rose, dark red, light red, you know, like all those color variations, but it will be only one color group that you would be able to filter out in alert navigation, and so on. And the same thing, like on Fashionista store, like they also have some virtual filters as well, like fashion Asta. What? How did I click there? I don't know. So here, for instance, you see this discount filter. And do you see on each product, like you have an actual number, like -41, -62, and so on. So this discount filter works in such a way that you just specify ranges of values, and then it will just specify products within this range. Like there is no special drop-down attribute with discount on a product level. It's just automatically generated filter based on the data you have in your catalog. And this saves a lot of data in your database, because you don't have to create new attributes for products. You don't have to do a lot of stuff. You can just, let's say, specify, hey, I want to sell, let's say, furniture, and I want to create a filter for a furniture, let's say, between this size in feet or centimeters, between that size and this size. I want to create ranges, but I don't want to specify all those ranges per product, because right now you have to do it in Magento. Like you have to create a new attribute, a drop-down attribute, and then you just do it like that. However, I just want to have a single, let's say, integer or decimal attribute based on which I can just generate this data. Like you just tell me the rules, hey, this drop-down value is from this value till this value, this drop-down value from this till this. And merchant is just focusing on marketing campaigns instead of focusing on how to enter the data for products.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. So
when do you think it'll be ready, or what's your next step? You're going to put it, well, you put the POC up on GitHub. You put something up on GitHub, I saw.
The POC was for search suggestion, like based on trigrams. When I was able, to autocreate quick search queries or something like that. It's something that is possible to do. Like you can even generate those queries. Like there will be a generator. We'll be able to choose like what kind of search suggestions you want to have, like brand of the product type, let's say size, color, whatever. Like you would be able to create multiple variations, and it will just generate after suggestions based on it. Will generate trigrams, and then person will type in instead of the default one. When you only see already used search suggestions, it will suggest you actually search queries based on the data you have in your catalog, instead of relying on, data that someone searched before. So it's much more better user experience, because they right away will get some hints, like how they can build their queries.
Yeah.
But right now it's all open. Like there's GitHub repository for layered navigation itself. Like design is only containing right now interfaces, like the idea how the objects will interact between each other. Right now also I work on asynchronous MySQL batch library for Magento as well, that will allow me to build efficient indexers for layered navigation, as well as finally port my import-export tool that I have in one of my private repositories.
You have a lot of stuff in this stash. A lot.
I have a lot of stuff that unfortunately I can't release as open source thing as well. Like I've built a lot of custom solutions over the years, but I just need to port them over. Like I cannot reuse the same code. So that's why I have to build a lot of stuff from scratch. That's tough. But
cool.
In general, there is a lot of projects that I'm working on right now, and finally, like I have some customers who are interested in those projects, so partially they support me on getting them done, and having Magento deciding to ditch MySQL search, it's kind of a big driver for me actually to get this layered navigation done as soon as possible. Like, it's probably gonna take a couple of months to develop it, because I don't have full-time availability to build it. Like itself, it's not that tough to build. The problem is usually time, and right. I have to feed my family, so I have to take customers. I can't just work for free for open source projects. So I dedicate some time. I get some sponsorship from my current merchants who are ready to wait for it, But in general, this is something that I think gonna change a lot. Market in Magento itself, that a lot of people will be able to sell more with less hosting resources being spent, because it will be much more better marketing tools than default layered navigation. It's going to be much more better, indexation speed, so time to market. And
other hosts won't like that. They make money by selling you more resources. We'll like it. I mean, the more optimized your store is, the cheaper it is for us to run.
But I hope it's going to be a good competitor for Magento standard Elasticsearch navigation as well, because I think it's going to have much more better features, and people will just switch to standard MySQL because they don't need to install any additional software on their infrastructure. Like it will be just working with standard Magento that they already have. And when they decide to upgrade to 2.4 from 2.3 branch, they already will have something to migrate to. Like they won't be forced to change their infrastructure, change their setups, and so on. Because I think decision of Magento to ditch MySQL-based layered navigation is quite bad for SMB merchants. Because
they're moving that all into Elasticsearch.
Yeah, so this is a lot of things. I think they're moving into PWA direction, and they don't want to support multiple things at the same time. And everyone knows that MySQL implementation of the default Magento layered navigation is just terrible. And they know it themselves as well, so that's why they're trying to build this thing. And they just want to ditch it, they don't want to fix it. They just want to switch on something to focus on, because they have developers. Supporting two systems to have identical functionalities and perform well is always hard, because the internal design, unfortunately, of the layered navigation is not built in such a way that you can easily span up multiple implementations.
Yeah, our testing of 2.4 showed pretty good performance increases on it. Now that's just demo data. We haven't seen any real customers, obviously, with it yet. But
yeah, so just create a lot of configurable products.
Yeah, that's yeah. Add a couple extensions and then it crashes again.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's wrap it up. So thank you to Blackfire for sponsoring us. Subscribe, follow, and we are Loading the Loop on Twitter and litl@magemojo.com, and we'll link up our personal contact information in the show notes. Any parting words before we head out, Ivan?
No, I think it's good. I think we covered a lot of topics already today. Thank you everyone who tuned in, and till the next show.